Q2, what's going on in this dose right here? We're going to be reacting to a Twitter war between Fresh and Fit's Myron Gaines and TradCon advocate Chase, who got popular from his appearances on the Whatever podcast. But before we react to it, y'all already know the drill. Like, share, subscribe, turn on your notifications, share my content with your family, friends, colleagues, and peers so that they can get a dose of the Q pill as well. Without further ado, let's get a dose of this shit. Now we're going to review the clip that jump-started this whole trade between Myron and Chase. It was the clip where Chase was on the Whatever podcast and he talked about how Myron influences guys and inspires guys, motivates guys to sleep with 50 women. I'm assuming that's what he was talking about, but sleep with as many women as possible, to which Chase has an issue with because he thinks that goes against his beliefs, his values as a Christian. So Chase stated that red pill influencers will prescribe guys to sleep with as many women as possible and then turn around and complain about hoes and OnlyFans models when they're contributing to the problem that is female promiscuity currently here in the West, or it's at least to perceive to be a problem because women are slightly more promiscuous nowadays than they have been in the past. So I want you guys to take a look at the clip and then we're going to go through the Twitter exchange and then I'm going to get my thoughts on it.
I personally speak out against male promiscuity. I think one of the worst problems in our world is promiscuity in general. I don't support dudes like sleeping with a ton of women. A lot of guys are like, if a guy has a high body count, dudes will be like, dude, nice. I think it's degenerate.
Like it's still like a hot girl, go for it.
Yeah, I think it's degenerate, personally.
It's like contributing to the problem.
Exactly. A lot of influencers that are like, yeah, women with high body counts are bad, but also you as a man should go get laid as much as humanly possible. It's like, bro, you're literally advocating for men to contribute to the problem that you're calling out.
Now y'all heard the clip there. And let me just start off by saying this is one of the reasons why I am not involved in politics and I am not religious, because it's just all virtue signaling. It's all morality-based reasoning, what you think you should or shouldn't do and what that's going to ultimately do for society. And there are certain things that when you give it some critical thought, you realize that it's not going to be very effective if you actually apply it, because there's just too many variables. There's too many scenarios to where if you're looking for a general outcome in the masses, it's going to be highly improbable to attain. And that's the reality of something as complex as trying to stop female promiscuity. Now, I do get what he's saying. He values not encouraging guys to sleep with multiple women because he thinks that's degenerate. And I will say, if your goal is to increase marriage rates, reduce divorce rates, and decrease promiscuity, then of course you're going to advocate for being against promiscuity, for people controlling themselves, exercising some sexual discipline, refraining from sex, practicing abstinence, all those things. And that's fair. Actually, I don't disagree with Chase in that regard. I don't necessarily tell guys they should go out and sleep with as many women as possible because it's arbitrary as hell and that really does nothing but just helps you rack up bodies. And essentially, as a guy, you still get used to it. You get used to sleeping with women over and over to the point to where you yourself, you become addicted to that hedonistic novelty and variety, and that's just being completely objective. So that's not something that I actually would recommend that men do as well. However, I'm not opposed to men actually sleeping with multiple women if that's what they so choose to do with their life. If a guy puts himself in a position to where he can attract multiple women, hey, to each his own. That's what he wants to do. It's his dick. It's his decision. It's those women and their choice as well, their consent. And if that's what they want to do and he doesn't want to commit and that's the lifestyle he wants to live, then that's the lifestyle he wants to live. This idea that we're going to save the world based on these traditional conservative values and save America, we're not going backwards. Feminism is here to stay. Sexual liberation is here to stay. Female empowerment is here to stay. And as long as women can make their own decisions, make their own money, make their own choices with who they want to sleep with, how they want to proceed with their life, if they want to chase their career, if they want to increase their educational attainment, all of those things are going to continue to be phenomena that we experience, and we have to adapt rather than try to reverse what has already been put into motion. And if you can't accept that, then you're going to struggle heavily. You're going to live in a world to where you're just going to have to either off yourself or get the fuck over it if it's that deep to you. But I want you guys to see the Twitter exchange between Myron and Chase, because the actual tweet, this video was what Chase posted, but the actual tweet that went along with this video is what Myron responded to. So we're going to take a look at the tweet. Chase tweeted, "Red pill influencers. Women with high body counts are bad. Also red pill influencers. Go get laid as much as possible, sleep around with a bunch of women, spin plates, and avoid marriage because it's a scam. It's degenerate, hypocritical, and heavily contributes to the brokenness of our world. Take the Christ pill instead." Thessalonians 4:3-8. That was the first tweet. Myron's response to this tweet was, "Jesus can't save these hoes and neither can you. You trad cons need to realize feminism is here to stay and isn't going anywhere. Adapt to the new normal and keep getting married by the church and destroyed by the state." Myron added to it, "You think women work since the 60s to regress, give up feminism, and follow the Christ pill? You're as delusional as the women you debate. The reality is these modern women aren't going to give an inch. Why would they stop behaving the way they do when they are absolutely rewarded for doing so? They can get simps to still give them traditional treatment while still behaving like whores in their peak years. They can get the best of both worlds with zero work, and society incentivizes and rewards them for doing so. Women can pretend to be trad cons, then switch up at the last second and go back to the feminist tactics and use divorce to destroy a man. The only way to deal with this is to adapt to the new normal because it's never going back." Chase then responded, "You're deliberately deflecting, Myron. Stay on topic. I never said dudes need to be Captain Save-A-Ho. I said influencers like you are hypocritical degenerates who are perpetuating the problem here. You criticize female promiscuity, as do I, but then you'll tell men it's good to sleep with tons of women, never get married, and cheat on their girlfriends and wives. You're making the problem worse, not building a solution. I am not here to adapt to feminism. I am here to completely destroy it. Feminism will only be destroyed by returning Western civilization to a state of godly patriarchy, which is how God designed the world to work." This is a man telling me that women are permanently in charge of civilization and there's nothing men can do about it. What the fuck? Guess the only thing we can do about it is give up and engage in degenerate promiscuity. So you guys hear there the exchange, you see the exchange, and there's validity on both sides. There's validity on Myron's side that feminism is here to stay, it's not going anywhere, and our best course of action is to simply adapt, as I said, adapt, take on what is given to us and make the best of the situation at hand, which is why they would recommend not getting married, because the state can still fuck you over with divorce, no fault divorce, and then taking everything you have and just all kind of complications when women decide that they no longer want to be married to you because women operate on their emotions. So there's validity in what Myron is saying on that part, and I agree. There's validity in what Chase is saying. By recommending men sleep with as many women as possible would be contributing to degeneracy, and it is hypocritical to complain about women being promiscuous and then encourage men to go out and actually contribute to women being promiscuous. I get what Chase is saying in that regard as well, and that's why I said this is a complex issue that does not have one solution outside of simply be able to adapt, because this country is built on freedom. America is built on freedom. That First Amendment gives people the right to say and do whatever they want within the parameters of operating legally. So, having sex with whoever you want, whenever you want, how often you want, and how many people you want is one of the things that comes with that freedom, that comes with that liberation. That is the whole point of sexual liberation. It is hard to defeat feminism when the people in power advocate for feminism, are with feminism, and propagate feminism. They're proponents of feminism. Now, you can make the argument that once Trump is in office, things may or may not change, and if you're a tradcon, then you're hoping things change, but they won't change much without violating that First Amendment. And there's too many women in America who are free, who want to do what they want to do, that you would have such an impact in Chase's perspective on that you would completely eradicate feminism, female empowerment, and sexual liberation. We would somehow on a mass scale have to get men to stop simping for women, encouraging their behaviors, getting them to do the things that reward them, such as OnlyFans, sex work, stripping, corn work. But men are never going to stop doing that anyway, because men themselves are horny, sexually unfulfilled, dissatisfied. They want to be more desirable. And most men want to date multiple women. And this is where the Christ pill gets it wrong, because we're humans. We've evolved. We've evolved specific mating strategies. We have psychological adaptations, such as men liking a variety. That's never going to go away. Men seeking novelty. That's never going to go away. Men seeking multiple partners. That is never going to go away. These are things that will continue to exist as long as humanity is what it is. I don't have an issue with people wanting to fight the righteous fight and have giddy optimism about what they can accomplish within the confinements of Western civilization and what we consider to be issues. But what's considered one issue for one demographic is not considered another issue for another demographic. Another demographic may see that issue as something that is advantageous, or they simply may take on the idea that they accept it and they'll just adapt and evolve with the progression of what is currently going on. I think we have to be a lot more critical and a lot more objective and a lot more realistic about what it is that we're trying to accomplish and the ways or strategies we would implement in order to accomplish those things. Is it probable? Is it realistic? What plan would you implement that would have an effect that large that you would destroy feminism? When the country is increasingly more liberal than it is conservative, at least in the areas that matter. Major cities, places where the highest concentration of the human population reside. Not going to eradicate it. You're not going to defeat it. And you damn sure ain't going to defeat it using religion. Because people are actually moving further and further away from religion. And there was a tweet that Chase even said, I didn't include it, but here it responded to Pearl, because Pearl got herself involved in this Twitter exchange as well, and asked what would he say is the number one method that would reduce divorce, and he said becoming a follower of Christ. And I just want to say that that is not true. That is absolutely not true. There's a 2 to 3% difference in the risk of divorce between the non-religious and religious. That's not a very substantial amount, if you ask me. A lot of Christians get divorced. And they'll say, oh, well, they're not actually Christians. They don't keep God's word. They don't keep his commandments. But at the end of the day, they identify as Christians. And they go to church. And they can still wake up and decide that they're going to sin, go against God's law. Last time I checked, being Christian didn't make you impervious to sin. We're born in sin. If we want to get biblical, we're born in sin. Sin is inevitable. And human nature existed before the Bible or any concept of God ever did. Which means the things we did before the concept of God and the Bible came along are things that we will continue to do long thereafter. Especially now with America becoming increasingly more secular. I think it's one of the things that you just have to simply adapt to. We're not going to get rid of feminism. We can fight the fight. I too get pissed off at feminism. I can't stand feminism. I'm one of the biggest anti-feminists there is. What it's become today. Because it's encouraged women to do things that goes against their nature, and then they complain about why it is that men aren't who they're supposed to be, when in reality they're simply becoming the men that they complain about. And if you're becoming the men that you can complain about, then you can understand why men wouldn't want you either. But I appreciate you guys tuning in. I'll catch you guys on the next dosage of Q Pill. I'm Suave Q, aka the Q Pill. Over and out.